Good afternoon, people. Um, After a very long pause, I've decided, and actually, someone made a very nice comment on one of my videos, so it sort of prompted me to make another video, just proof of life kind of thing. So yeah, I'm still here, tramping around and in the center of the universe. And with everything that's going on now, which is, what was it, the 11th? Let me see. Yes, the 11th of October, 2019. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I guess I'll start with probably something that may seem contradictory to what President Trump is saying, and I'm not denying or arguing or what have you, opposing what he's saying as far as the economy and jobs and that type of thing. I think there's a lot of people, a lot more people now employed. There's a lot more opportunities out, in the environment that people can find somewhat gainful employment. People might be bringing home a little bit more money in, what they call disposable income, which I find that somewhat of an oxymoronic term or phrase. But 10 years ago we had a big financial crisis that, not to go all into the details or whatever, but basically it was that the mortgage contracts were found to be mostly fraudulent, that these financial institutions, the mortgage companies, the people that were writing and creating these mortgages for people, on top of the economy was a little bit rocky. A lot of people were able to get mortgages, which people should be able to buy a house. People should be able to have affordable housing. However, that goes hand in hand with the economy, as far as having jobs and good paying jobs so that people can afford these mortgages. Well, so that kind of went into the crapper, because it was found out that these mortgages were actually fraud. These contracts were basically written and they were fraudulent due to the terminology and the banks, the mortgage holder, the people that created the mortgages. They were loaning money when they knew that people would not be able, there was very soon going to come a time where the economy was going to start dipping, and a lot of these people were not going to be able to pay for their houses, and which that worked out for the bankers, the mortgage lenders and such, because they could foreclose on the properties and regain that property and continue to make even more money on top of the money that they create out of nothing. At the same time, create a social, cultural emergency, basically a dire situation for most people. And so it all worked basically in their favor. A couple of huge, too big to fail companies did fail, went out of business, and that, you know, even though all of this corruption and criminality was going on, none of the people were found. They found officially were responsible for any of this, any of what had happened, and nobody went to jail. Some of the companies may have gotten slaps on the wrist, or the executives or whoever, got the finger pointed at them and say, "Don't do that again." And they say, "Oh, we promise," which was all a big sham. Here we are 10 years later. Basically the same thing is happening, except there's even more money involved. Okay? And basically, I think both sides, the good side, the bad side, everybody, they want to crash this system because it doesn't work. It's become so corrupted. The people within, a lot of the people within these industries, especially these high executives, the board members and such, they've made out for so long, and they've made so much off the backs, the sweat of the lower levels of society, of culture, at least here in America, and this is worldwide. I mean, the bankers are bankers no matter what countries they claim to. They have claims of loyalty. That's another oxymoron. They're loyal to no one or nothing except themselves. They look out for themselves, even though they create this drug. Okay, and this is where I'm going with this. Money is absolutely one of the most deadly, devastating, poisonous, addictive substances, synthetic substances known to mankind. We've had it since the dawn of time as far as humanity is concerned. And if you look around, humankind, the human species, is the only species on Earth that requires this medium of exchange called money to basically exist. Now, I don't have a job. Like I said, I'm tramping around in the center of the universe. Don't have a job. Don't really have a regular source of income, but I do, in order to be able to sustain myself with nutrition. Be somewhat clean, sanitary, what have you. It requires money, unless I lived out in the woods somewhere. Okay, and I don't live out in the woods somewhere. So, and even at that, money is required unless you absolutely live like a primitive cave dweller from eons ago. Okay, but getting back to the subject of finances and economics, these banksters, I would compare them to drug lords. They know that people all the world over are addicted to money. Anyone you speak with, and you bring up money, everybody believes, okay, they don't know, but they believe that they need money to survive. There needs to be a paradigm shift here. Unless there is some type of paradigm shift within a monetary system, and I believe that's coming very shortly. The drug, it's just like the phenol problem. It's just like the cocaine, the crack cocaine problem back, and there's still that. It's just like the meth problem, except it's not quite as it's not publicized in that way. The media is portraying money as everybody needs money. Look at what media lives off of: advertising. Your commercials that you see. Oh, wouldn't you like this nice juicy hamburger? Wouldn't you like this nice lobster dinner? Wouldn't you like this new car? Is somebody screwing you over? Have you had an accident? Well, then call this lawyer. On and on and on and on. And all of this is to keep the current flowing between the banks. Okay, the current, the river, the flow of water, just like the flow of water between the banks of a river or a stream or what have you. It's the same principle, but people aren't thinking about this. And money was a shortcut. I believe money was developed. There are the stories that, it was because somebody that only had a seasonal product in order for them to be able to sustain themselves when that season that their product was available was no longer, that season, then they would be able to accumulate, save, whatever, this medium of exchange, for those times that they didn't have a product to exchange with. So, that was the excuse given. But really, it was a shortcut. It was a shortcut because the people that thought this up, developed it, and have over all of this time through the course of history of mankind, rather than do the difficult work to get everybody on the same page and to promote fellowship, a sense of community, having people work together, they said, no, we'll come up with this. And the monetary system, you don't have to like somebody, but everybody understands what, the strength and power of money. It's just like a drug. It's absolutely exactly like a drug. But it's synthetic. It's a drug that was developed by mankind. All the animals, the nature, the planet doesn't require money to thrive. But somehow we've been hoodwinked and we believe that money, we absolutely need money to survive. Everybody's, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Everybody's scared of being uncomfortable. Everybody's scared of not being able to go to the faucet and turn the water on. Well, the water's got fluoride in it anyway. And who knows what else. Just talk to Flint, Michigan. And this goes on and on and on. Our food supply, the same thing. I could really talk about this for hours, but I'm trying to make a fairly short video. Bottom line, the bankers are nothing more than drug lords. They're the same cult of personality as El Chapo, any of these other, these big drug dealers. It's the same thing, except the people that enabled these people, they're even a step higher above, and you don't usually hear anything about them. You don't know who they are. You don't know what their names are. But money is a drug, and until we grasp that as a culture, as a society, and we're going to continue to have these problems. The cryptos are, that's cool. That's a medium of exchange. Okay, it's supposed to be more secure. It's made so that you don't have to trust the bank. You can do the peer-to-peer transfers or what have you. The security, the trust, or if you want to call it that, is built into the software. But I foresee that may work for a while, but I honestly believe that humankind, is going to need to develop something other than a monetary form of exchange. The only thing the money, I called it a shortcut earlier. The only thing it has provided is a shortcut to hell on earth. Look around. Everything's based on money, and the corruption in the government, the corruption in the financial industry, on and on and on. I do believe that, or not believe, but I feel very strongly that the central banks around the world, here and what have you, they're doing bailouts now for the banks. And these people, these heads of these banks, these financial institutions, they're idolized. They're lifted up to the level of almost a god status. But yet, is it that they are actually so ignorant that they continually, and I say continually over the the past history of humankind, and I'll say regularly, as in through the course of history, it happens over and over and over, that these people that are in charge of finances, every time the same thing happens. The economies of all these different countries, it goes to shit. Everything, people have died, people are dying. All of the wars that we have basically are because of there are a few people that are adamant of building a wealth, obtaining the influence, and a country's, having the control over whatever country's populations or whatever, and that's because everybody is dependent upon this drug called money. Now you have indigenous people, live out in the middle of nowhere, don't have any other contact with them. Well, they don't ever use money, but if there's an outside group, that need or whatever, want that particular plot of land or what have you, that area that these indigenous people may be inhabiting, well, they'll just go and wipe them out. It's even easier for them, because nobody cares about these. Well, I won't say nobody cares, but basically these financiers wield enough power, have enough wealth and influence to just do whatever they want on a whim. And if you go around and you talk to an average person, well, why do we do this? Why do we? Oh, well, that's the way it is. That's the way it always has been. Nothing's going to change. That's the way it's always going to be. Oh, yeah? Well, it's not going to be like that for much longer. I can guarantee that. So anyway, this is my my rant for. I have some other things to talk about, but this is really it's irked me all my life with this monetary crap. And people say, oh, well, socialism, oh, communism, oh, capitalism. It's all the same freaking thing. It's problem, reaction, solution. It's Hegelian dialectics. Read up on it. This is how everything is done. And these communists, capitalist, socialist, and many, many more, they're all just labels. And they get redefined over the course, depending on the situation, the environment at the time. They get redefined, and people start, using the same words, but they're using them or portraying them to mean something different. Every few years, every so many years, this stuff reinvents itself, but it ultimately results in the same thing. People dying, sickness continuing, destroying the environment, like logging, clean water. Hey, how about clean water? When I was a teenager, I thought it was absolutely insane to even consider that they were going to be selling bottled water in the grocery stores or anywhere for that matter. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. But that's come around, and how cheap is water? Okay, isn't that something that was provided to us by the Creator? The air, that's going to be the next thing if it continues along the lines that it is. And so all of this monetary crap, they keep the people ignorant. And I'm not saying stupid. People like to use that word stupid. I like to define stupidity as stupidity is just a condition that results from people not understanding and not realizing all of the options that they have. Nobody is stupid, but it's a learned ignorance for the most part. And this has been going on for generations and generations, and for a very long time. So, what are we going to do about it? I know what I'm going to do about it. I know what I have been doing about it. But what are you going to do about it? Are you going to continue to feel helpless and ultimately worthless and give in to these drug lords? Are you going to give in to this drug called money? Or are you going to develop your faith in humanity, in your neighbor, in your friends, in your family? Because it's not just going to happen and be a click overnight and things automatically change. Maybe that's what our purpose here is, to overcome that type of stuff. Everyone could have pretty much the best of everything, be the healthiest they could be. That's what this money has done. Big pharma, big pharma. It goes on and on and on. And enough is enough. And it needs to be rectified. It needs to be remedied. And pretty soon, I do feel that it will be remedied. And it'll probably be remedied in a way that a lot of people won't agree with. But hey, you have the opportunity to make a difference. You have the opportunity to be part of the remedy and not be the cause of the problems. Think about it, please. So this is going on for a little over 20 minutes. Sorry to rant on, but yeah, I'm pretty disgusted and frustrated with these friggin' drug lords, and I have been most of my life, because I've seen through it for a long, long, long time. And people are in denial. Oh no, that's not the way it is. No, it's absolutely the way it is. You are addicted to a drug, and that drug is one of the most devastating, one of the most deadly synthetic drugs known to mankind. Think about it. So yeah, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, enjoy your health, Do what you can to make a difference. You don't have to go, stirring up a bunch of mess to make a difference. The simple act of acknowledging that there is a problem will make a difference. It requires some patience. Something that I'm still working on myself. So anyway, have a blessed weekend, a blessed day. Love your friends, love the environment, and most of all, love your family. And don't forget to love yourself. Take care.